Hello and welcome. I am Raziel. Now, I don't know quite, but basically, this is about where did everything go wrong in storytelling within modern media. Now, I've got to be honest, this is not a political video, so I'm not even going to say that. Or it's when the SJWs or whatever took over. No, I don't think that's the problem. How I think there's something that everyone misses because they just want to insert politics into it. It's nothing to do with politics. And during the last 2 weeks, I managed to read more, and unfortunately can't make videos because the way my job is, I can put down a book, I can pause a movie, and editing will just take too much time. Haha, you think I edit. But you know what I mean. Basically, I've spent this time doing a lot more research while I'm doing my paperwork. Anyway, point being, where did it all go wrong? And I went back during this time and I realised that we can use the MCU as this sort of gradient onto where it went wrong because it stems from when a lot of, let's say, geekdom, that's what we are, we're absolute nerds, was absolute peak to when it went belly up. And even the MCU kind of actually shows it. And it didn't just affect the MCU, it affected almost all of geekdom. Now it's kind of going back to what it should be, but we do kind of need to discuss this because I don't think it's political at all. I really don't. I think it's loss of focus. Now, let me get this straight. I'm going to start by talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe from the start to, well, now, which is actually quite shameful, especially with a new Daredevil. Could have been absolutely fantastic, but it wasn't. So, and yes, I did read a lot of comics, including new ones as well, just to get a good idea of this. So here we go. Basically, at the start of the MCU, not Blade, but Blade is fantastic and everyone should watch it. We got the incredible Iron Man, Captain America. Three big heroes, four as well. And what you kind of learned from this is something that kind of got lost on the way. When we look at Iron Man's a fun film. It's fantastic. It's one of my favourite films of all time because it's not a superhero movie. Captain America, the first two aren't superhero movies. Incredible Hulk, even Thor, these aren't superhero films. And I'll get to the Warhammer point in a minute, but I think I need to discuss this first. Iron Man, the first one, is a coming of age story. It's about a billionaire who really didn't care where his money was coming from until it personally affected him. And then he realised just how bad it was. You can say, yes, this is a completely selfish point of view, but he was ignorant to the fact. He wasn't ignorant, he knew what was happening. He knew his weapons killed people. And though he kind of states that he'd rather lessen it, he want peace. And the Jericho missile at the start isn't about firing lots, it's about firing one, finishing the battle quickly, minimising loss of life, even though, cluster bombs are incredibly legal with the Geneva Convention. But no, it's a coming of age story, basically. That's what Iron Man is. The Incredible Hulk is about how power corrupts, and power in the right hands is a good thing, and the power in the wrong hands can be absolutely lethal, and that's what it is. It's a philosophy film about power. You have Bruce Banner, who's a good guy. He's not about, and he gets the Incredible Hulk, and it causes lots of damage. However, Tim Roth's character, he's obviously a villain, and when he gets it, he just turns it just makes it worse. It's about the corruption of power. Well, The Incredible Hulk is actually a deep philosophy film which you should watch. Or you could just say I'm talking out my arse. Either way, he's good. Captain America. Now, Captain America, first two films are actually two different types of film. The first one, Captain America, First Avenger, is a World War II film on the lines of The Dirty Dozen. That's what it is. The second one is a spy movie, and it's a thriller, and that's what it is. But they all have superheroes in them. They are these type of films, coming of age, philosophy, World War II. 4 is basically fantasy in the modern world. I'm not even joking, that's literally what the first 4 film is. It's fantasy in the modern world. But I couldn't really say anything because it's about fantasy and it's not about superheroes. 4 is just a fantasy character and he has fantasy powers. That's what it is. It's a fantasy movie within modern world. And, spy movie, that's what those films were. They just happen to have these big superheroes in them. That's cool, and that's absolutely fantastic. Now, when you go back to the old Warhammer 40k books, were exactly kind of the same thing. These were war books with Space Marines. They were war books with Tyranids. They were war books. They were basically just wartime books. That's what they were. They were books about war. I just said war like 4 times. But that's what they were. They just happened to have Eldar, Orcs, Imperial Guard, Space Marines, Chaos. And they were personable books. They were actually very interested in the person being a person rather than a Space Marine. And we hear about, how some Space Marines struggled talking to humans because they were so much bigger and stronger, but some were even scared of just killing them. Well, as scared as a Space Marine could be. And again, we got these Imperial soldiers in the Horus Heresy who were absolutely terrified of Space Marines because these big things were absolute brutes. They were demigods, and these were personable stories which you could see and read. They just happened to be in the 40k universe, and that was it. If you look at the Horus Heresy Rising, the first lot of Horus Heresy, like the Marvel Universe, you can kind of grasp the same way with the Horus Heresy books up to the Siege of Terror and beyond. At the start, they were all just like I said, just happened to be war novels that had Space Marines in them. That's what they were. Now, what we have now is this loss of focus of telling a type of story, spy, war, whatever, with superheroes, Space Marines, etc., to Space Marine books that just happen to take place in a wartime. Superheroes that are in a story. These films are about a superhero, and that's it. And when you make a film which is just about a single type of person, it tends to get boring. Same with the books. We get more with the Primarchs, and they know their Primarchs and how strong they are, and then that's it. The best ones I've read from the Horus Heresy are the ones taken from especially the Siege of Terror, are the ones taken from a personal point of view, such as the Warlord Titan one, Mortis. Let me make sure I got that one right. Yep. Mortis. And the thing is, I hope I got that one right. I haven't read it in a while. Anyway, and what you got was this personal point of view of people controlling a Warlord Titan, and it was all about the devastation. These were just people who happened to be in a Warlord Titan while the world was going to tits, right? It was just going, it was getting messed up. That's what made it good. They could have been in a tank, they could have been in an aircraft. It doesn't matter what they were in. The same story would have just been just as gripping and interesting as anything else. Okay, that's what makes Mortis one of the best ones. But when you read ones where they are very aware that they're in a Warlord Titan, or they're very aware that they are Space Marine, it takes a lot out of this. Another example is Hell's Reach. Hell's Reach is a good book. I quite enjoyed it. And again, you have Space Marines. Now the Space Marines, the Black Templars, knew they were better than the Imperial Guard on Armageddon. Why did I want to say Necromunda? That was a different war. Armageddon. And they knew they were Space Marines. They knew they were better, but their personalities were still very, very human, and they were concerned about the normal humans. They were concerned for Grimaldus, and was taking orders from Imperial Guard majors and captains who outranked him, even though he was a chaplain and pretty much outranked everyone. But he still took orders from them, and he gave orders to the Imperial Guard as if they were his own men, if they were just Space Marines. And the same thing happened either way, The Black Templars knew that everyone was a soldier. Everyone was a soldier first and foremost. This is what made it a great war book. Just because it happened to be within, the 40k setting, didn't make it any less of a very interesting book about people in wartime, which is what made it so good. And now later books, once again, we're seeing this more focus on how bad the setting is rather than what the people are doing about it. There's few are coming out. I mean, there's a few back in the trend, but the majority of them are literally more about the setting. When you have paragraph about what something looked like and less about what someone's doing or someone's thinking, you know the book's going wrong. World building is fine, but when your world building exceeds that of the character building, your book is going to be dull and boring. This is poor story. And this is where geekdom's gone wrong right now. Like they aren't focusing on the characters anymore. Even with the superhero films, they're not focusing on the characters. They're focusing on what the character is. They are superheroes. I think this is why Galaxy Guardians of the Galaxy actually kind of worked and was enjoyable because it was focusing on what the people were, whereas something like Captain Marvel was more concerned about her being a super strong superhero, and that was it. That's what made Captain Marvel completely dull and boring. Oh, I'm a good big superhero. Yeah, thank you very much. Even the Superman back in the 70s, Christopher Reeves, was good because it showed Superman as a human being, even though he was this great big, he was almost a god compared to all the humans being Kryptonian. Batman was the same. It was more focused on how Batman was as a person and how he was this is Batman 1989, by the way, and how he was not getting over his parents' death. And the fact is, he killed. Yes, Batman 89 killed the Joker. People forget that. And it was about vengeance and being vindicated for the vindication for his parents' death, who was killed by Jack Napier, who became the Joker. Anyway, I think this video's gone on long enough, but this is my point. A lot of this geekdom now has gone from character and who they are to the setting and what that is and what the character is. The whole idea is that we shouldn't be there for what the character is, it should be there for who the character is. And they just happen to be in this situation. That's what made them good back in the early 2000s. It was always about the situation and people in that and how they reacted. Now it's about what they are and the situation and what the setting is. It's like saying, we have a cube in a box and going on about how the cube is a cube and the box is a box and making no story. We just know that the cube is a cube and it's in a box. That's what the story is. That's what the story is. Rather than now making a cube personable and have character and what their situation in the box is like. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. A bit of a ranty one. I'm not going to be covering Epic because that's kind of that's a video for a different day where I literally refuse to cover the Epic now. I just can't be bothered with it anymore. And I'll see you again soon. Have a great day. If you enjoyed this video, please support this channel because I don't like e-begging, even though, Patreon at the bottom, and always kind of leave it last. Go to Wayland Games, buy yourself something nice. That would be that would make me happier than anything else. Like, same with my merchandise, all these things are done by my merchandise. Except Skyford, he's a good friend of mine. I don't get paid for that, so give him a click, get him up Google algorithms. But merchandise, comics, Wayland Games, I'd rather you do that than just go into Patreon. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.